We are back talking exercises for the runner out there, because I know you see the weather bar at the bottom of the screen here. Saturday, Sunday doesn't look terrific, but Friday does. Rich Thaw from Core Excellence back on the show. Rich, thanks for coming. And of course, Leah, your lovely assistant, who you get to do all these fantastic exercises.
Yeah.
She's in amazing shape. But let's talk about running in particular, because running is something a lot of people love doing. Actually, Joanne and I were just saying, you know, is it true that it's hard on your knees? Running? Because a lot of people say that.
Yeah, it's more of the repetitions, the hundreds of thousands of steps and reps that come down on your knees. And if you go for a longer and longer run, obviously it's more reps and more. That's where a proper shoe comes in play. Where it can definitely help reduce the impact, or even better, helping using the proper muscles to propel yourself forward can help relieve that tightness in the quads or the hip flexors, and help you use your butt and take some pressure off your knees.
Well, let's talk about that, because, you know, for a lot of runners, the way that they exercise, just continue running. But there are exercises you can do to sort of strengthen yourself to make you a better runner,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. So there's a saying you just reminded me. You run to get fit, right? But you should get fit to run.
Right.
Right. So
makes sense.
You should do things. So runners notoriously have tighter hips. With the experience of my father's a big runner, my wife's a big runner. Also, a lot of the people who train at the facility are great avid runners, which is fantastic. But a lot of the time they have very tight hip flexors. So what causes
that tightness?
So usually for long distance running, you don't necessarily go through this full range of motion as you do in sprinting.
Right.
Right. So they usually have something like this. But not only that, but you have another job. Like when you go home, you sit in the car, you do this. Yeah. So sitting like this all day, our body adapts to this position. Right. Our body's like, oh, okay, we don't need to stand up all the way. We don't need this full extension. I'll just get this. And then you try and stand up all the way, you go to run, like, oh, like my back starts to hurt, like my calves are starting to get real tight. Well, no wonder you can't stand up all the way. You can't fully extend your hip. So this exercise that Leah's doing right here, a hip lift.
Yeah, so what is she working on right now with this particular
So she's working on her glutes.
Okay.
But the greatest thing about this is this can double as a hip flexor stretch. So one thing that we cue all the time here is making sure that those internal obliques, the transverse abdominals, those deep like side abs.
Yeah.
So Leah's palpating, touching right there, making sure those guys are on. If these guys are on, the back will be off.
Okay.
And if you drive through the heels, you can make sure you really do feel the butt, which is the primary muscle that you need for hip extension, to push.
To propel yourself
forward,
right?
Exactly, yeah.
All right, let's move on to another exercise. What else have you got here?
So moving from here, just like in running, you are going to be on one leg, right? So you're going to need those obliques to help control you.
And I mean, a fairly simple exercise here, but again, she's working, as you mentioned, the obliques. What else is she working here?
She's working the obliques to help keep her hip up, so she's very conscious of keeping that right hip high, right, so those right abs strong, and sitting back into the heel, or into the midfoot, let's say, to get that, again, the butt working.
Leah, you've got good balance. That's why I'm not doing this one, because I'd embarrass myself.
Leah's real strong in this position. So this is exactly what you need, right? And then lastly, we can train those abdominals to stay stable in that position, so we can grab the band. I'll do this with you right here.
All right.
Sorry to step in front of you.
No, that's okay.
So we're going to take...
These bands are great, aren't they? This is like for people that want to work out at home, these are fantastic.
It's very inexpensive, pretty versatile. So we're going to get the glute squeezed, so we can stretch the hip flexor at the same time, staying nice and tall. We can punch out right in front of us, and then come right back in. So what this does, I'm going to let go of Leah for a second, it's going to pull me here this way. Okay. So I'm resisting that rotation, same way when you run, your body's going to want to collapse to that down leg side, so we're trying to resist that. And if you want to add a little bit of a difficulty, we can raise up to the ceiling. Woo!
Raise up now, Leah. Come on now.
Right back here.
Don't cheat here.
There you go. Yeah. So the goal, you see, it is very difficult, right? The goal is
I know, it looks easy, but it's not. These bands have a lot of resistance.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. So it's an anti-movement. So it's an anti-rotation, anti-lateral flexion, which you need when you're standing on one leg. You have to resist that extra movement or those compensatory patterns that your body loves to take.
Right. How often should you do these exercises? If you're an avid runner out there and you're running, let's say, 5 days a week, how often should you do exercises like this?
If you're running 5 days a week, I'd say definitely get this in at least 3 days a week.
Okay.
If you can do 4, fantastic. Right. But coupling this with a great foam rolling and stretching, so like a prehab, a pre-movement, a warm-up exercises, you're good to go.
That foam roller, that's just those simple little ones, right,
that
you can buy.
So foam roll, do a stretch. We can do the hip flexor stretch right here, ladies in the show, real quick. So getting your foot up on a bench or a couch, putting your knee on the ground, getting that left bum, so that down knee bum squeeze, so you can push and open up the hip flexor at the same time to make the hip lift easier, to give you more range of motion, easier range of motion when you're running. So it all kind of ties together.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much, Rich. Always a
My
pleasure
pleasure,
having
my
you on the
pleasure.
show. Great exercises. So before you go running, don't forget, try to strengthen those areas to make it a lot easier on your body out there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Beat